Ever heard of this guy? What about this one? Maybe this? There are thousands of note-taking apps. I've tried probably too many of them. Most either felt too complicated or too limiting. But then I found Obsidian, and it completely changed the way I organize what I learn. In this video, I'll show you how I use it, and then I want to test a few plugins to see if they actually make Obsidian even better for language learning. Here's what my little setup looks like. It's really simple and minimalistic. A bit messy if you look closely, but it works. I spend a lot of time here, so it's become a big part of how I learn languages. If you are completely new to Obsidian, I'll quickly show you how to make something similar. Okay, first let's download Obsidian from their website. When you launch it for the first time, it gives you a pretty detailed guide explaining all the features. Highly recommend it, if you enjoy manuals of course. Let's create a new vault. A vault is just a local folder where all your notes are stored. Here's what you'll see. I'm not a huge fan of the default theme, so let's fix that. Go to Settings, Appearance, Themes, Manage. There are hundreds of themes here. I am a minimalistic little fella, so this one works perfectly. Click Install and Use. Great. One small thing. I don't really like these borders, so let's change that as well. Go to Community Plugins and install Minimal Theme Settings. Now we can tweak the theme a bit. I'll switch to macOS colors and disable workspace borders. Here's how it looks. Clean. Now let's move on to how I actually use it. When I open Obsidian, it takes me to my home page, kinda like a Notion. It helps me jump quickly into whatever I'm working on. To set this up, you'll need this community plugin. Okay, back to business. For the last few months, I've been preparing for my German B2 exam. You can probably tell. Since a vault is just a folder, you can import basically any type of document. For example, model tests for TELC. Let's go to reading, my favorite. I can split the view in half to see two pages at once and hide the sidebar. I usually do exercises on paper, but today I'll do it inside Obsidian. Let's open a new page, create a new note, and move it right here. Now I can do the exercise right next to the test. Okay, let's review vocabulary for the writing part. At the top, I have a list of common themes like environment, social media, education, and then I keep vocabulary with useful phrases for introductions, arguments, conclusions, etc. Let's open environment. Inside, I break it down into more specific subtopics. Many of them were actually suggested by ChatGPT, and under some of them, I collect relevant text. For example, under pollution, I have a text about plastic packaging that I found in the news. So how does this system actually work? Each of these notes is just a separate file inside my vault. If I go to my Goethe folder, writing, themes, article, I can see all the themes I've created. But instead of constantly jumping through folders, I use internal links. Pretty simple, right? You might have noticed a folder called Diary. Sometimes I write about my life in German to practice writing. Oof, I should probably do it more often. To make this easy, I use two plugins. Daily Notes, which comes pre-installed, and Calendar. That one you'll have to install from the community plugins. In the Daily Notes settings, you can choose which folder new notes go into. For me, that's the Diary folder. If you want to write about today, just click here. And if you want another date, that's where Calendar comes in. After installing it, it usually appears in the right sidebar. If not, press Command P or Control on Windows and search for Calendar Open View. Fantastic. Now I can click any date and it creates a note automatically. And if you read a lot online and like saving text, the Obsidian browser extension is pretty handy. I can just select any passage and send it straight into my vault. It automatically saves it in my clippings folder, and then I can use it as another example text for exam preparation. Well, that's pretty much how I use Obsidian. It's basically just a file viewer and a storage space for my German texts, which makes me wonder, am I completely underusing it? Let's test a few language learning plugins and see if they actually improve my setup. First up, spaced repetition. If you, for some reason, don't want to use Anki or similar apps, you can actually create flashcards directly inside Obsidian, which makes sense. I already have a lot of texts here. If I want to remember new words, maybe I should define and review them here too. So let's install it. Here's a text I wrote a few months ago. I originally used footnotes to define new words, but instead I could turn them into flashcards. To do that, I just add a flashcards tag to the note. Then I create a card using this format: front, double colon, back. Let's review them. Command P, spaced repetition, review flashcards in this note. 3 new items. If I know the word pretty well, I press easy, so it won't show up again too soon. Another option is Cloze Cards. For this, I'll create a separate folder where each note acts like a single card. Let's take a sentence from the same text and hide one word using double equals. Don't forget the tag. Let's review, and here it is. You can also add a hint. For example, the English translation if you need extra context. I'll leave a link to the documentation in the description so you can explore it more thoroughly. Another plugin some of you might find useful is LanguageTool. It is basically autocorrect inside Obsidian. Just turn on auto check in the options. Now, if I make a typo or grammar grammar mistake, it highlights it and suggests a correction. Very simple. Now that we know what the main language learning plugins do, have I missed out on them? I don't think so. Would I use them in the future? Probably not. Let me explain. First of all, I'm trying to stop chasing new tools. Every time I redesign my system, I feel productive, but I'm not actually learning. As for spaced repetition plugin, there are already great tools like Anki, Mochi or Cloze Master, but even with them, I don't really enjoy learning with flashcards. I prefer seeing words in the actual context, not just a sample sentence. That's why I use Lute. I read text, mark unknown words, add definitions, and review them naturally when I see them in another text, for example. It may be a bit slower, but it feels real and it works for me. And when it comes to grammar or mistakes, I will check my essay 50 times with ChatGPT before adding it to my vault. That way, I'm sure I don't have any mistakes, misspelled words, or unnatural wordings. So, what's the moral of the story? Stop waiting for the perfect app to start learning. No tool will magically make you consistent. At the end of the day, it's you doing the work. Over time, you'll naturally build a system that works just for you. And try not to compare yourself too much. Someone else might use 15 plugins and 20 apps. You might just use a notebook. Both can work. I'm not saying don't try Obsidian or other tools. You definitely should experiment. Just don't fall into the productivity rabbit hole. This Reddit comment sums it up pretty well. That's it for today. Thank you for sticking around. This is only my third video, so I'm still figuring things out. If there is anything you want me to cover, German, language learning, specific tools, let me know. I read and reply to every comment. I really appreciate your support and I'll keep making videos and trying to improve. See you around.